Hi, Keisha here of New World Tarot, and thank you for joining me today for another vlog. So first thing first, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who came out to the Skip Back Days Festival in Skip Back, PA last weekend. It was such an incredible time, and I met so many incredible, amazing people and had such a wonderful, unforgettable experience. And so if you're watching this and you came out and supported me, thank you. Thank you so much just for doing that. I really, truly appreciate it. And you truly make life worth living. Like, it means a lot to me. And I hope to do it again next year. And I also hope to be attending, tentatively, the Fall Fest and Spooky Saturday Festival in East Passyunk Avenue. That's in South Philly on Saturday, October 26th. So if you are in that area, you know, or it's a great, awesome event. Like, I definitely highly recommend it. I've attended it before as a guest, so, you know, as a patron. So I really am looking forward to actually attending it as an attendee and as a vendor. So also, I wanted to very quickly remind you of the Halloween Divination Treat Bag giveaway. So we're giving away some goodies in honor of Halloween. And the only thing you need to do to enter is to be a subscriber to the New World Tarot newsletter. So if you are already subscribed, you're good. And you already have been entered if you're already subscribed, okay? So no need to do anything else. But if you're not subscribed, please head over to www.newworldtarot.org/contact. And you can sign up there in just a matter of seconds. It doesn't take long at all. So I just want to mention that and say thank you so much again and good luck, okay? So here we are at another full moon. And the full moon is, of course, the apex and the climax of the lunar cycle. And this is when the moon grows into her fullest power, really illuminating darkness with her gentle, her light, and her potent light. And as the moon grows into its fullness, so does our own inner power grow into its light and its greatness. And to me, the full moon is all about just using that most potent influence of the lunar cycle to just heal others, heal ourselves, to channel power, to harness shadows, or to clear out our shadow selves and really turn that into power. So this full moon arrives in the sign of Aries. And what can we say about Aries? You know, Aries is symbolized by the ram. And Aries is pure fire. And this sign is first. It's quite literally the first sign of the zodiac, and therefore the first sign of the year. So, you know, if you're following the astrological wheel of the year, that is, it's you know, Aries is basically like January, you know, in astrology. So, if there's one sign that will be first really to do anything, it's Aries. Aries it's bold, it's very action oriented, it's courageous, and it's not one to really sit down and be bored. Aries likes adventure. And more than any other sign, Aries is about the self. So now, yes, you know, selfishness in its extreme and over attention to the self is certainly a shadow aspect of Aries. However, liking and loving and supporting yourself is actually a healthy and necessary energy for growth and happiness. In order to love others fully and in order to be truly happy and secure in this world, you know, it is vital to develop and protect a strong self-esteem. Excuse me. And this full moon in Aries, we're going to really discuss stepping into your fullest power by focusing on your self-esteem, okay? So I'd like to really begin that by talking about a tarot card. And I have the Everyday Tarot here, which is one of my favorite decks recently. It's absolutely a beautiful deck by Biddy Tarot. And this is one of my favorite Four of Wands cards, okay? And I'm actually going to have a picture of it on the screen pretty shortly so that you can see a closer picture of it. But the Four of Wands is, you know, often associated with ceremonies and celebrations, and in the more traditional meanings, it's usually often seen as a celebration of things that you have done, a celebration of career, a celebration of your past actions, of your past creations that you've created, and having those things kind of come to fruition. That certainly is one way to read into the Four of Wands. And this is a beautiful Four of Wands. This is actually one of my favorite Four of Wands depictions in this tarot deck. I just absolutely love all the flowers and the banners, and also the beautiful tower that has the ribbon on it. But the astrological correspondence for the Four of Wands is actually Venus in Aries. And when we kind of break that down, it actually very much kind of ties into what we're talking about today and our full moon in Aries. So obviously Venus is very much associated with beauty, with abundance, with you know, just that celebratory energy. And Aries is, as we said, is about the fire, the inner fire. It's very much about the self as well. So what I see here in this card is a celebration of the beauty within yourself when we really kind of break it down. We can also look at it in numerical sense as well. So again, the Wands cards are all about fire, and and Aries is of course a part of that. And especially the first two, 3, and 4 of the cards are ruled by the sign of Aries. And Aries, as we said, is about the self. The number 4 is about stability, and it's about security. So we can actually again look at this card as being self-security, self-stability. Okay, so this is all about finding the beauty of not just celebrating what you've done, but celebrating what you are. But it's about celebrating what you already have within you and all the beauty that is found within you. And I believe that that is a beautiful way to really read into the Four of Wands. Okay, and you can again say that it's you know, what is it that is beauty in self, that is celebration in self? Well, that's self-esteem. Okay. So what is self-esteem? When we say self-esteem, we're talking about your self-worth. It's your level of comfort with who you are, and it's a recognition that you have incredible value. And it's your recognition of this despite the disapproval or disagreement of your value by others. So when our self-esteem is compromised, we often will find ourselves either shrinking into the background and kind of like succumbing to like self-destructive behavior, or alternatively, it might cause us to lash out in anger and frustration and turn our destruction onto others. And you know, it amazes me that everyone is born with high self-esteem. You know, when you were very young, you had no sense of self-consciousness or shame or low worth, all right? You found happiness easily, and you did not really dwell in low points for very long. And furthermore, everyone really thought the world of you all the time. You were just like this amazing force of energy that everyone cheered and cooed over, you know, and lost their mind over whenever you even entered a room, you know? How can you have anything but high self-esteem in that atmosphere, you know? But as you grew and, you know, adults began shaping you to be a civilized, responsible adult like them, something shifted. And suddenly there was a lot, and you know, and I mean a lot more criticism coming your way. Suddenly there appeared to be an ever-growing list of things wrong with you that needed fixed. And, you know, as business coach and author, Sri Kumar Rao states, he says, you had to be taught to be unhappy. All right, his quote that I picked up from one of his courses is, you had to be taught to be unhappy. And I would also add, you had to be taught to be insecure. And it turns out you're probably taught those things very well. All right. Now, it makes no sense to really dwell in anger at the world once you realize this. You know, if you do have low self-esteem issues, it doesn't make sense to you know, be like, oh, well, it's all your fault. There's knowledge and knowing where it came from. However, you know, we have to kind of look at the bigger picture. There certainly might be some parties who purposely may have sown the seeds of low self-esteem for their own benefit, you know, such as marketers, you who want to sell products, obviously. But I actually think a lot of our low self-esteem actually comes from well-meaning sources, like family and friends and lovers and actually yourself. A lot of it actually comes from yourself. And you can actually be a source of your own suffocation. You know, that's totally true. Those closest to you, you know, especially those responsible for your upbringing, they may simply have wanted you to be safe. They may have trained you to, you know, psychologically, you know, think you can't fly because they are haunted, you know, metaphorically fly, of course. They may have taught you that you can't fly metaphorically because they are haunted by nightmares of you metaphorically plummeting to earth. You know what I mean? So, you know, they may have done so because they were raised to think it's not proper for someone like you to metaphorically fly, and that people should stay quiet and stay themselves and stay safe and stay on the ground. And they may just be passing on what they've been taught without questioning anything, okay? So, but unless you make a concerted effort to really question others' opinions of you for yourself and undo what you don't want to agree with, you'll likely end up with some or a lot of damage to your self-esteem. Now, you may be, you know, a strong person, and you may think and you may say to yourself, my self-esteem is strong. You know, I don't have any issues in this category. And this may overall actually be true, but it's important to recognize that you can have high self-esteem in some areas of your life and very low self-esteem in a different area. For example, you may love the way you look. You may be super confident in your body, in your face, the way clothes look on your body, whatever. But on the other hand, you may struggle with self-esteem when it comes to your relationships or when it comes to money. And though you always may think or know that you look great, you may be terrified to ask for a raise or to apply for a job that pays like $40K above what you might be comfortable, what you might be making right now, okay? And what this means is that somewhere along the way, you learned or taught yourself that you're not worth finding that perfect love relationship, or that you're not worth being paid a lot of money. And these are some very common beliefs, unfortunately, and they cause a lot of us a lot of pain and frustration. And it's this constant tension between the wanting of something versus the inability to allow yourself to have it because you don't believe you're worth having it. So how do you know if you have low self-esteem? If there is an area that you struggle in, you know, so if there's an area that you seem to make the same mistakes over and over, or have the same pattern of frustrations over and over again, this could be a clue, okay? So cycles of frustration often hint at inner conflict. You desire something and you go after it, but you fail. You know, something gets in the way, something happens over and over. You get upset, you dust it off, and you try again, you go after something and you fail, you know? This keeps happening, but I want you to really dig into why are you failing. It could very well be because in the moment of truth, you know, when it's time for you to push yourself out of your comfort zone, you don't believe yourself to be worthy of what you want. And we know that our actions and our results always follow our beliefs, okay? Always follows what's here and what's here. So if you do notice a pattern that could hint at low self-esteem, what do you do? All right, well, firstly, you want to determine what it is that you want. For example, it could be, you know, let's say the perfect harmonious relationship, or the perfect body, or a fuller bank account, okay? So after you figure out what you want, next you want to ask yourself honestly, what keeps happening whenever I pursue these things? For example, you may say, you know, I keep pursuing, you know, the perfect relationship, but I keep finding myself with terrible toxic relationships. Or I keep pursuing the perfect job, but I keep ending up in a cycle of terrible jobs that kill my soul, okay? And it's important to really be honest here. So thirdly, what you're going to do is you're going to bridge, you know, what may be happening in your mind and heart between the two places. So use your logic here, okay? So for example, if you know, I pursue and I desire a harmonious relationship, but I keep ending up with toxic relationships, what is the conclusion that could be drawn, okay? That there are no harmonious relationships to be had? Though, you know, many people may proudly proclaim this, but most of us know this is not true. You know, there are many, many people who love and find and celebrate harmonious long-term relationships all the time. You know, there's no shortage of that available. And they may take work and attention, these relationships, but they're far from impossible, and they're far from uncommon. And I therefore could look at my own actions and conclude that maybe I don't believe that I am worthy of harmonious relationships. Maybe I actually may be sabotaging my own relationships to fit my belief. You know, again, it's important to be honest here. So one hint as well at what may be standing in your way is discomfort. All right, pay attention to any discomfort. Definitely become aware of any discomfort when you get near to things that you want. For example, all right, this is something that I've noticed happening in myself. If, you know, I say I want to be wealthy and someone takes me out to eat and says, you know, hey, you know, you can buy whatever you want, you know, company card, like do, you know, or truly get what you want it's on me. And, you know, what I want is the lobster, but instead I get, you know, the tilapia, you know, or the cod. You know, I might want to ask, why do I do that? You know, I look at the picture of the lobster and I'm like, sell it. I'm like, oh, I really want that. But then I'm like, no, I get the cheaper dish. Okay. And you might want to ask, why does that happen? In that case, it may likely be that I stayed away from what I really wanted because it made me uncomfortable to be treated so lavishly. You know, I have something within me that says I'm not worth spending so much money on, or that, you know, good girls don't cause others to spend so much money on them, you know, so instead I move away from what I truly want and I stick with what I'm comfortable with. Okay. And something like this in your own life could be a huge sign that you have self-esteem issues with a particular area. Okay. So this is just one example. So just be conscious of your discomfort when you get close to what you want. And this will tell you a lot about what's kind of going on within your own head and your own heart, okay? And finally, you're going to really lay on the truth to yourself, okay? As hypnotherapist Marissa Peer always says, you are enough. Constantly tell yourself, you are enough. And you need to say that in various forms. And it's important to really tell yourself, to remind yourself repeatedly that you are whole the way you are. You are, you know, fine the way you are. Is there room to make yourself a better version of yourself? Absolutely. But it's important to really tell yourself you deserve to be happy and you deserve to, you know, have what you desire. And, you know, if it's possible, you know, you can have it too. So tell yourself daily that you're smart enough, you're good enough, you're beautiful enough, you know, you're worthy enough, and that you are just as deserving as anyone else to have things. And make time to really recite this. You know, I am good enough. I am beautiful enough. I am powerful enough. I am important enough, just as I am. Okay? And you can say this in your mirror, in your car to yourself. Just keep saying it. And your mind does respond to repetition. And you will eventually begin to subconsciously shift your mindset and your behavior. And you'll become more confident and more naturally comfortable with the things that you want to see more of in your life. Okay? So really quickly, before I go, I'd like to do a super quick tarot bridge draw. So we talked briefly about how the Four of Wands can actually be a beautiful representative of, again, self-security, self-stability, self-esteem, celebrating the beauty that you have within yourself, okay? Venus and Aries. So how do we get to this point? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to choose a card that's going to represent us as students. And I chose the Page of Wands, being that Aries is a fire sign. Wands is all about fire. And the Page of Wands is all about being a student of how to use our fire, how to use our passion, and how to improve ourselves, okay? Being that the self is under the umbrella of Wands and under fire, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to actually bridge one to the other. So we're going to ask, how can we, as students of self-improvement, as students of learning to really enjoy ourselves and celebrate ourselves, how can we learn to step into our greater self-esteem? How can we really get comfortable with the beauty that we already are? Okay, so what we're going to do is pull two cards and just ask, how can we bridge that gap? And what action can we take? What do we need to know in order to step into our power this full moon in Aries and really strengthen up our self-esteem and just be more confident and more comfortable and happy in our own skin. Okay. So, wow. Excellent. So we pulled the star. That's a beautiful star card. There's one card. And we also pulled the 5 of Cups as well. All right. So I'm going to have these cards actually pulled up for you. And you should see them on your screen very shortly. Okay, so we have here is how can we as students of self-improvement step into our more alignment with our stronger self-esteem, and how can we find the beauty in ourselves again? And we have the 5 of Cups and the star. And the 5 of Cups is of course a card of dejection and a card of grief and a card of pessimism and emotional loss. And, you know, of course, when we look at this figure that's here, he's so intently looking down at these 3 spilled cups. And he is entirely focused on what's wrong. He's entirely focused on what is not working. He's entirely focused on what has disappointed himself, what has disappointed others. But he's not paying attention on the 2 cups that are behind him, that are still upright, that are still strengths, and they're still beauty. And this is a card that reminds us that we need to not pay so much attention on what our problems are. We need to not pay so much attention on what other people, when other people emotionally hurt us and tell us, these are all the things that are wrong for you, that you do wrong, you do incorrectly. Either you're to this, to that, you're not enough that, not enough this. And over time, that obviously can cause us to feel awful about ourselves. And this comes from so many sources, and it can come from both, neutral or non-well-meaning sources, such as bosses and coworkers, and people can get very heavy-handed with the criticism. But it also comes from well-meaning sources, unintentionally. People that have no idea they're doing what they're doing, or people that feel like they are supposed to do that because they're your parent, or they're an older sibling, or, they think that that's helpful, but they kind of don't know where to quit, and they want to keep taking things to the next level. But it's a reminder that we need to pay less attention to the things that, it's about a questioning, why do we give so much weight to the criticism and not to the compliments? Pay attention to when people compliment you. Be comfortable with taking compliments. When people say things that are wonderful to say, be comfortable saying thank you, not feeling like you have to reciprocate. Just accept it as truth. Okay? And pay attention to and really, really live up the things that are strengths, that you do well, that that you really bring to the table. These are wonderful things about you that we need to give more weight, in other words, to the positives and not so much weight to the negatives. So in this figure's mind, he's looking why are there 3 spilled cups and only 2 upright? I feel like that's actually an emotional response and not the truth. Okay. And we have also the star card. The star is a beautiful card. This is a beautiful star card in this deck. This is also one of my favorite star cards. And the star, I love it. Number one, obviously, it's about taking care of yourself. It's about regeneration. It's about recovery. And it's about just kind of making sure you take care of your mind, your thought process, by stepping away for a moment from the sources that stress you, sources that over-critique you, okay? Make sure you're taking care of yourself. This is a very mental energy as well. It's ruled by the element of air. So just keep in mind that your self-esteem often starts with the thoughts that are in your mind. And it's important that you take care of yourself and that you give yourself a break and a recovery from the sources of low self-esteem. For example, wherever that's coming from. If it may be from your parents, you need to take a break from that. If it's from your work, you may need to schedule a vacation. also, the star is ruled by the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about that celebration of what makes you weird and what makes you stand out. Literally, the star, I think of people that are stars in their field. And they're usually stars because they have this quirky, unusual way of being and of thinking. And instead of letting them make that have people make them a freak of nature, and you better believe anytime you're strange, you're going to get ridiculed. But instead of letting them dig at their self-esteem, that what they did is they actually turned that into a power, and they let their differences and their weirdness and their strangeness and their unusualness actually make them stars in their career, stars in their life. And you're weird for a reason. So this card to me is all about, yes, you're not going to please people. People will always, always, always have issues with you. They will always, always point out your shortcomings and how you're not good enough here, or, you're too much here and not enough there. Always, always. However, that is a recognition that is their opinion, and that all of these things, including your flaws and your quirks, all of these, you have these for a reason. And that there's no one else like you. You stand out from the crowd. And anytime you stand out from the crowd, which is a power, you're going to be subject to ridicule and to harsh critiquing. And that's just a fact of life. But you just want to make sure you turn that into its truth, which is all about, this is your strength. Okay? You don't want to be like the masses. It's my personal belief that most people, as normal as they are probably not as happy because they're very conformed. But nonconformity is what you should aim for, and that's where your strength lies. But it has a shadow side as well, which it threatens people. So basically, again, just place more emphasis on your strengths, on your beauty. Okay. And also, take care of yourself. Make sure you're taking time to recover, to rest your mind, and just, know that you're different. You are different. That's okay. And you're not going to please people all the time. And the sooner you accept that and move on, the happier you'll be in your own skin, and the happier you will embrace your own self-esteem and your own beauty that's within you. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you. That's it for today. And thank you again for joining me for this full moon in Aries vlog. And I wish you an absolute wonderful, rest of your October. And we will see you next time for the new moon. Be safe, be happy, and be blessed. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.